Hey guys, MSH Garage here, bringing you a whole new video series. So this time we're going to switch the focus from the Mustang, and we're actually going to be turning our attention to the Dodge Challenger. So we've had this car for over a year now. We're approaching 2 years at this point, and I had tossed around some ideas about what I wanted to do with the car, but I'm finally ready to move forward. And kind of my concept for this whole thing is I'm hoping to get into a build that's going to be kind of an ultimate daily driver build. And especially since we have an all-wheel drive Challenger, I really want to play into its abilities to be an all-wheel drive vehicle. Now, I'm not expecting it to go necessarily off-road, off-terrain, Jeep sort of style, but what I would like to do is just play into the fact that it has all-wheel drive, because from my experience and working with this car over the past year and a half, or almost 2 years, this thing's a tank. It'll get through anything. Wet weather, snowy weather, all sorts of conditions. It does absolutely fantastic. So I'm not going to get too much detail into all the reasonings behind this, but I was inspired recently because I did lose one of my very good friends who I worked on cars with. And he, him and I did a lot of work together, and it's been kind of a hard loss. And I wanted to not do a complete tribute build to him, but I wanted to include elements that he would appreciate, looking down at this build and being like, oh yeah, those are definitely cues that he would really like, because he actually had a Deadpool Veloster themed car, which was kind of kooky, very cool actually. And I wanted to put, again, not a complete tribute car. This is a daily driver. Then again, it sees a lot of action, and there are a lot of things I'd like to do to it, kind of, enhance the drivability of it as a daily driver. But I kind of wanted to, under the radar, kind of tribute to him also, because it's been pretty hard losing a good friend of mine. So just to go over a couple of things that we're going to be doing here in the next couple of videos I'm going to be bringing you. So you see a little bit of sneak peek of what I'm working on right here. And this is the front end. What I did is I'm going to be plastic dipping a good majority of the car. I'm going to be doing it in the matte black. And along those lines, I think it's going to be a really cool fusion. It's not going to be very overstated, but I'm thinking kind of like a Punisher cruiser theme. With this car, I think the Challenger really lends itself well to a vehicle like that, and especially if I go with a black on matte black theme, a Punisher theme could be very cool. And again, it's not going to be overstated. I'm not going to have Punisher emblems all over it or something like that. I have a couple of emblems picked out, and that's actually what I'm going to be installing today at the end of this video. So I did look into vinyl options for the car. I know some people might grunt and groan and be like, oh, plastic dip, that's pretty cheap. But, well, that's actually the benefit, though, is that it is cheap. I looked into vinyl wrapping this car, and from top to bottom to vinyl wrap the whole thing, it's anywhere between $3,000 to $4,000, and that's only going to last you for about 5, maybe 7 years on the outset if it's well taken care of, and this is going to see a lot of daily driver action. So I figured a plastic dip would be a good place to start. I could do a good majority of the car in the parts that I wanted to do. I'm actually looking at plastic dipping it from this line down to give it kind of a two-tone sort of look, because we have these really nice matte black stripes on here I want to accent, and I kind of want to leave the top of the car, the sheen, the pitch black as this car is. But what I want to do is basically protect all of the, I guess you could say, vulnerable regions. The front end of this car, for a year and a half, the car has over 35, almost 36,000 miles on it. It has seen a lot of abuse and daily driver action. I can tell you I did a very good clean of the front end of the car here, and it was chewed up. So I'm really looking at, part of what I'm looking at is actually enhancing the durability, at least, of the paint job, or trying to protect the paint job underneath, which plastic dip should do a relatively good job of. Now, it won't protect from everything, right? Something big enough hits, it's going to end up dinging it, it's going to cause some damage, but hopefully it'll deflect a lot of the little stuff that's been coming in and causing a lot of pitting on the car. So I'm hoping to do basically the vulnerable regions of the car. So we're going to go from this line down, paint it all the way around. I'm also looking at, and I'm going to do a whole series on changing out the tires on this car too. I want to go something a little bit more meaty, a little bit more all-terrain to give it a really aggressive look, and also try to bump out the tire a bit to fill the wheel well. And that has been a whole sort of saga in and of itself. And then we're also going to finish this up, which is going to be really cool, is we're going to be putting a push bar on the car too, which I think is going to give it a very aggressive, almost police cruiser sort of feel. And this is going to be a functional push bar that we're putting on the car. So what I'm hoping to capture in this build is a couple of additions to the car, and not to go too crazy or overboard, but that'll enhance its durability and drivability as a daily driver, giving it a little bit of protection, a little bit of an aggressive nature and feel to the car as well. Now, getting into the more distant future, though, I do have some fun plans for the car, And if you've done any research or seen about these vehicles, they actually do sell a Procharger kit for the all-wheel drive. And especially with a little, I would say quite a bit of weight I'm going to be adding to the vehicle, I would like to get that Procharger kit at some point. Now, the thing that's critical about all this, though, is that I am trying to do a budget build. The Procharger itself, of course, is going to be probably the most expensive thing if I look into getting that and actually doing that. But really, all the way around the car, so far, I'm probably tallying up maybe like a maybe $5,000 build. I'm trying to keep it around $4,000 or so. And I mean, for different people, you know, there's different levels here as far as a build, but I think that's a pretty nice low budget build number, especially for a daily driver. You're going to enhance all of your important driving qualities and features, like the drivability with the tires and the wheels. You're going to get some protection here with the plastic coat dip by dipping the car. The push bar, well, hopefully you don't need it, but you have it there if you need it, right? If you have to have it. And if it need to, you know, well, I don't know, I guess you don't necessarily want to go out of your way ramming people, right? So, but you have it there if you need it, right? And I'm sure that there's other members of my family that might feel differently because I'm getting some faces on the other side of the camera, but we don't go doing that in our society. But the point is to enhance the drivability and the daily drivability of the car. And the other thing I'll probably be looking into, which I won't be doing this year, but is also a suspension for the car. I don't want to drop it. I don't want to slam it. My objective with the suspension, and not lift it either, I like the ride height where it's at, especially if you have a more aggressive tire and rim, if it's an all-terrain tire on here. What I'd like to look at doing is just stiffening up the suspension all the way around. So maybe a coilover kit, something in that nature, that'll at least provide the exact same ride height I have, but give it a stiffer, more sporty suspension basically all the way around, especially for some of the parts that we're adding to the car. Because we're definitely not lightening the car. I can tell you already, I'm going to show you the video, the push bar I have is legit. It weighs a solid at least 60 pounds, and we're putting that on the front of the vehicle. So we definitely going to need, I'm going to desire a little bit more power at the end of the day, especially for some of the daily driving shenanigans I see on a daily basis going into downtown Philadelphia. So it'll be really nice to have a car that'll have a little bit more of an aggressive feel to it, kind of a like I said, a Punisher feel to it, without being too overstated, but have a lot more functionality to the car too. To be quite honest, after driving this car for a year and a half and approaching on a second year, I actually really have fallen in love with it, especially as a daily driver. It is extremely versatile, and I really want to go ahead and enhance and expand upon those qualities that the car already has, and really kind of bring it into our family and give it our own sort of edge and twist. Hey guys, so we're going to go ahead and commemorate this build here, and I got these Punisher emblems initially that I'm going to put on here. I want to get these on before I do the plastic dipping, because I don't want to put the plastic dip on here and then put these emblems on. They have to be on first, right? So I'm not going to go over this in detail. I covered this in my vinyl installation video, but I used all the same principles I used before in order to quadrant off this area. So I got these. It was a local store nearby, I think in like Bryn Mawr or somewhere in Pennsylvania. The emblems are really nice. They're these nice metal castings. They have a lot of nice detail to them, and then I already have the pre-stick already applied to the back here. So the only thing that I'm doing is I'm just using this L that I created here, and I'm just going to go ahead and I've lined it up, kind of give it a quick look. Looks straight on those lines, so then I go ahead and press down. That's pretty much it. That's the first part of this build. Real simple. Kind of gave you guys a brief update and everything. So hopefully we'll tune in next time then. So thanks a lot guys for watching, and I'll see you at the next part of the build.